Hello, this is Lady L coming to you from my kitchen again. Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am coming to you today to share my recipe for a pie crust. It's as easy as you think, it's just easy. I have some apples that they're kind of like on I have to do something with them. Okay, so I had it for about close to 2 weeks, and um, so either I would have to do either applesauce or an apple pie. So I thought, well, we didn't have dessert yesterday, so I do an apple pie today. It's snowing outside, still a little bit drizzly, a little gray outside, but so I'm going to do an apple pie for you today. But first of all, we need a pie crust. And so I want to explain a few things with you regarding what I'm doing. I'm going to use butter today, half butter and half organic shortening. Why organic shortening? Because it's non-hydrogenated, which means it has no trans fats. All right, some of the other vegetable shortenings that we sometimes use, they do have trans fats, and there's no cholesterol either. Even though there's no trans fats, no cholesterol, it's a fat. It's not necessarily free, but it's a better version, healthier version for your heart, for heart health. But why am I using butter? That's not necessarily, it's natural. Yeah, it's natural and it's flavorful. And I do want my crust to have a flavor to it. Slight butter taste. You can use all butter if you want. That's if you want to. But I'm trying to keep it on the healthier side. So I'm using some butter, a little butter, but I'll use some plant butter in my apple mixture, okay? And again, to further explain why I'm doing this, a half-half ratio of shortening, that is organic shortening, and this is called Spectrum, and you can get this most anywhere, and any kind of butter, of course. But I'm using half and half because when you use apples, blueberries, peaches, any kind of fruit that gets off a lot of juice, then you want to make sure that your crust is going to have some crispness to it, a little firmness. So I want my crust to have a little bit higher fat content, but I still want to keep it on the healthier version. Okay, you can buy a pie crust if you want to. My mother did it for years when she baked pies. She bought the bottom, she bought 2 pie shells. She used one for the bottom and she waited to thaw it out and she inverted that thing on top of the pie and made a top crust. That's perfectly fine if you have not, or you don't want to try this crust or you have not mastered it. But I'll tell you, you'll save a ton of money in buying pie crust for the holidays when you make your own, because you usually already have flour, you usually have butter, some kind of shortening already in the home. So why buy it? And it's better for you. And those do contain probably trans fats. So just watch that. Be careful. Just read the instructions, read the ingredients rather, okay? So what do I have today? I have my half cup of the organic shortening, vegetable shortening. I have 2.5 cups of flour. 2.5 cups of flour. I have 2 teaspoons of sugar. Okay. I have 1 teaspoon of salt, and again the half cup of the organic shortening, 1 stick of butter, half 8 ratio. This is a half cup. This is a half cup. So normally for a 2 crust pie crust recipe, you need, all right, half cup of or 1 stick of butter, and you need a half cup of shortening, or if you were doing all butter, it'd be 2 cups of butter. But we're all lightening it up these days a little bit, so all right, just want to put that to your mind. I have cold ice water. This is a must. You cannot make a good pie crust without having ice water. Otherwise, it will not be the consistency you want. All right, so make sure, and I've had this sitting here for about 5 or 10 minutes, just so it's nice and chill. All right, so ice water. All right, this is a good tip. All right, so, and I know I'm not really big on gadgets. Now, I could put all of this in a food processor. It'll be done in like a couple of seconds. But I really didn't want to pull out the the food processor today just for a pie crust. If I were doing more chopping and things, yes, I would, but I didn't want to do that. So I want to clean up really quickly because I have other things to do, like make some more food. All right, I have a grater. All right, what's this for? I'm going to grate my butter with the grater. All right, I have a fork. You can use a pastry cutter, but I told you I'm not big on gadgets, so I use what I have. I have a fork so I can blend all my things together. Spoon for my ice water. Okay, all right, for that. So let's get started. 2½ cups of my flour. I put my flour in my bowl, sugar, the salt, okay, and I'm going to put my shortening in as well. Okay. All right, let's get these out of the way, clear our space. All right, so we need to see what we're working with, the space we're working. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and begin to grate my butter. I'm going to use this spoon for my ice water later. I'm going to grate my butter right now. All right. So what are you doing today? What's happening in your neck of the woods? What are you doing? Are you cooking? Are you making soup? Are you making chili? Tell me what you're doing. What are you doing? What's your favorite recipes? What would you like to see me cook? All right. What would you like to see me do? What other recipes? All right. I've got a ton of them up here. All right. And also in a couple books that I've done. Well, one book that I've done, a recipe book. But I'm going to work my way through that book over a period of time. Right now, today's pie crust day. So here we go. I'm going to grate my butter using the larger grate. It doesn't really matter, but I want to kind of get it done quickly because my butter is very nice and chilled. Make sure your butter is nice and chilled. If it's not, stick in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes. Pull it out when you're ready. And this was in the freezer for like a couple weeks, so it's very nice and chilled. So here I'm going to grate it. Just grating it in the bowl. I'm grating it. All right, and you see what's happening here. The grates are coming out. Coming out, grating it in the bowl. All right, and I need the paper on it so that my hands don't get totally all engrossed with the butter. Okay, again, I'm grating, and this is what's happening. It's coming out. So now then just kind of shake it off, toss it in the flour, move it to the side. Keep on going till you grate that butter all up, okay? See, it's grating. It's grating up. Nice long little streams of butter here. And toss it to the side toss it to the side in the butter. Keep it away from you. Just keep doing that so you don't press it down. And you're just kind of creating some airiness in the pie crust. We want our pie crust nice and flaky. Again, see, that's what it looks like. All right, taking it out, pushing it to the side, tossing some flour over it, and I'm almost done in grating my butter. All right, it softened up in me a little bit, but that's okay. All right, it's still gonna be fine. All right, gonna continue to grate my butter until it's all mixed in. All right? Right, and sometimes it'll just kind of clump up on you and lose the paper. No problem. Move the paper to the side. Scrape your butter out with your finger. Slide it off into the mixture. All right? Okay. All right, we're looking for the end result here to be a great product. All right, scraping off the rest of my butter that I grated. Okay, getting all the flour off of the grater and the butter. Some butter is still stuck to the grates, and I'm just getting it off, scraping it off, getting it into my bowl. All right, putting it to the side over there. All right, And so now, just like, remember I make the biscuits and how I took the fork and just blended everything together? Same thing. That's what I'm doing. And if you didn't see that video for the biscuits and for the garlic chicken, so basically again, I am just pressing everything down, working rather quickly because I really want to get moving here and cut my apples up while my pie crust chills for an hour. I want my pie crust to chill for 1 hour. All right? So I'm blending and still blending. And sometimes what I will do after I have mixed it with the fork, all right, for about a minute longer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take my knife, same thing as my biscuits when I make the biscuits. I'll take my hand, I don't have any rings on, take my hand, I'll just go in, kind of blend it together with my hands. All right, that's what I'm doing. Blending it together with my hands, just kind of rubbing it together, blending that butter together, and the flour, and the salt, and the sugar, and all of that. If you don't want to add sugar to your pie crust, then don't. If you don't want to add salt to your pie crust, then don't. But what's going to happen is that you're going to see that your pie crust is going to be a little bland, all right? And you want a little bit of touch of salt, just 1 teaspoon. If you want to decrease it to a ½ teaspoon, go ahead. But again, it will affect the flavor just a little bit, all right? And the sugar helps it to balance out, all right? Makes it taste good. If you want to omit the sugar, if I would say anything to omit the sugar, all right? But it'll be a difference in the flavor, not in the result. Not in the result. There will be no change in the result, the overall presentation. Texture, no, not really any difference. Flavor, yes, there'll be a slight difference. If you don't mind that, then you do what's best for you to do, okay? All right, and it's okay. All righty. Okay, and if you would rather not use butter, you rather use shortening, you rather use your plant butter, by all means, go ahead and do that, but you will notice a difference in the texture of your crust and when you're using fruits that give off a lot of juice. So now I'm ready for my water, my ice water, and here's the result of my crust with my shortened butter and all the other ingredients. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to, because it's really based. I find that when you're using the ice water, it really depends on a lot of things. It depends on the kind of flour you're using. And I did use unbleached flour, and I told you about that. I don't like to use bleached or enriched flour. It means it's been enriched with some things, additives, things have been added. It's been bleached. It's not the healthiest for you. Because it's better, keeps things moving around. It's better for your heart. All right, so 2 cups. It was 2.5 cups of unbleached flour. So I'm adding about a couple tablespoons, just kind of like going around like that. Maybe 1 more, about, okay. And then I'm going to try and see what, I just want it to come together. I don't want it soupy. We don't want our crust soupy, and we don't want to stir too much because we'll make the crust tough. Again, we're going to start with 1 tablespoon, right? Another one, and then 1 more. And I'm going to stir and see what happens. All right, stirring it around. I just want it to come together. I do not want it to be overworked because your crust will toughen up on you. Okay, I still need more. I'm getting some large bead action there, and I need more. So I'm doing, so this is going to be 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to do 1 more 10. So that's like about 10 tablespoons. So let's see what this, okay. Still coming together. I need to work kind of quickly, but not, I don't want to overwork this crust. I just want it to come together. You just want your crust to come together. You don't want to mess with it too much. Again, so this will be 11, 12, 13. I'm going to add 1 14 and see what happens, okay? That might do it, hopefully. Okay? And I like doing it this way, and I like doing it in the food processor as well. That's fine as well. But like I said, I didn't want to bring it out. Let's just see if it comes together yet here. Not quite, almost. Okay, so I've used, I think, 13 tablespoons. Going to use 3 more. See if that's going to help. That would be 14, 15, 16. Normally I don't count the tablespoons. I just, judge by adding the water, pouring it out from the jar. But because I'm doing it with you, I want you to have a gauge of how much water you're using. So I have about 16 tablespoons of water in here. It's almost there. Still not quite. I want to probably add, I'm going to try 2 teaspoons. So that would be 18, actually tablespoons, that would be 18. Let's see, I'm going to put in the dry parts. All right, let's see. Almost there. That's what I'm looking right here, see? And I want to make sure it comes together quickly. I'm going to add 2 more, so that would be, 19, 20. 19, 20. Okay. I think that just about does it. And again, it could depend on too how cold your butter is and what kind of flour you're using. All right. So yeah, this is it. All right. I just want it to come together. Just wanted to come together. Just wanted to come together, and it came together. That's what you want. You don't want it soupy. You don't want it sloppy. You don't want the dough to be too wet. You can still use it, but it's not gonna be the result you want with the dough crisping up. All right, and I'm not working it right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a disc. All right, like this. And then I'm going to put it in one of my repurposed bags that I've used for other things. You can repurpose these bags that you use for your greens or use for storage. All you have to do is make sure you wash them out very well with such water, all right? You rinse them out, dry them over a jar, a large jar or vase, clean jar, all right? Let them dry overnight or for a couple hours and use them again. So this is repurposed, all right? It's repurposed bags, and I'm going to chill my dough for an hour, all right? 1 hour in the fridge, all right? And then we're going to come back and put our pie together. We're going to stick it in the fridge. We're going to put our pie together, and we're going to put it in the oven, let it cook, all right? I'll give you those instructions further. I'll be back in a minute. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. All right, stay with me. See you in a minute. Okay, Pastel here. I am back, and I have my pie crust that's been chilled, and I have my apples I sliced, and I think I have about probably 6 pounds of apples, maybe about 6 pounds of apples. My apples weren't too sweet, so I added a half cup of brown sugar and a half cup of stevia. Some of you don't like stevia, that's fine. You can use a cup of sugar. Now, actually, when you add the sugar and mix it with your apples, taste your apples before you sweeten them, and then after you add the sugar. You may need a little more sugar or a little less. I don't like anything too sweet, so anyway, it's just to suit us. And so a half cup of, well, about 3/4 cups of brown sugar. It doesn't matter dark or light. I had light on hand. I have dark, but I chose light. And then I have a half cup of stevia sweetener, powdered sweetener. If you don't want to use stevia, just use a whole cup of sugar or a cup and a quarter. Taste your apples before, then afterwards. If you need a little more sugar, then add it. If you don't, fine. I had about a quarter teaspoon of salt. I like a lot of cinnamon, and this is Kirkland cinnamon. You can use any cinnamon you want. I just don't like to buy a lot of little bottles. And when I was at Costco's, I got this 10.7 ounce container. So I use about 2 heaping tablespoons of cinnamon, because we like cinnamon. You like less, use less. 1 lemon squeezed, 1 whole lemon squeezed. All right. So it's 1 lemon squeezed, the juice of 1 lemon in here. Sugar, lemon, cinnamon, pinch of salt. I also used about 2 tablespoons of flour. I have a lot of apples. And if I don't want those apples to be so liquidy when I put it together, then you need about that much, about 2 tablespoons of flour to hold your apples together. Otherwise, your liquids are going to run everywhere. And we're still going to have some liquids running, off of the pie, but that's okay. So I have my pie crust. Here's my pie pan, glass pie pan. All right, and so I have my crust, and it's been chilling for about an hour. I did stick it in the freezer for about maybe 20 minutes because I wanted to really go ahead and move forward with the pie crust. But if you don't have if you have time, just let it chill on its own in the fridge for about an hour. But I was kind of moving along. All right, so I'm going to cut it in half. All right. My workspace has been covered with plastic, so when I'm done, I can just throw everything in the trash, right? From my workspace, I can throw everything away in the trash. So I'm going to begin to roll my pastry disc, all right? And I don't like using a lot of flour on my pie crust because I don't want it to be tough. So I'm going to, and it's, I'm just going to work with it here. I'm going to cover my pie crust with a little plastic and roll it with the plastic so that I don't have to use a lot of extra flour. I mean, if you want to use flour, go ahead. If your pie crust is nice and chilled like mine is, you don't really need a lot. But if it's, needs a little bit, you go ahead. But I don't have to use a lot of flour on my pie crust. I'm going to roll it out. The space here. Okay. Rolling it. Rolling it. And again, if you want to, you can use pre-made pie crust. There's no authentic or genuine pie crust police with you at the grocery store. You know what you can do. You know what you have time to do. And if you would rather not make your own pie crust, you go ahead and buy your own pie crust. It's no problem. All right? No issue whatsoever. So, almost done here. And rolling out my first pie crust for the bottom. It's not exactly perfect, but it won't matter because we're going to put it in the pie pan and we will form it the way we want, cut off any excess, and if we need to use any scraps for the top layer, we'll do that. Just about done. Okay. So there we go. Not a complete perfect circle. I'm not concerned about it. The taste is the proof, right? So, I know some people take their pie crust and they kind of roll it back on to a rolling pan, which is the easy thing to do. Before I put it in the pie pan, I roll it about maybe, I guess, 1/8 of an inch. Okay? I'm going to spray my pie pan, all right, my glass pie pan with a little bit of cooking spray. And I buy this from Aldi's. It's probably about $2.89, $2.59, $2.89. I usually buy about 3 at a time because I don't like shopping all the time. This is a 7-ounce container. Most that you buy in the store, it's $2.99, $3.99 for something about from here to here. So you're getting much more for your money. So at one time I never shopped at Aldi's. I thought it was a joke. But I shop at Aldi's. I shop around for the deals. Walmart, Aldi's, Trader Joe's, Wegmans, Giants, wherever, you know, even sometimes Harris Teeter. Just lightly spray your pie pan, and that's going to help you to ease out your pie after it's cooked so that it doesn't stick. So if you find that your pie crust has been sticking to your pie pan, try layering it with a little bit of a quick spray of the you could use butter, you could use whatever flavor you want, but this is what I have, so this is what I'm using. So, all right, I am moving my pie crust into my pan. I have a little excess in some areas, and I'll just move it around to other areas, okay? So right here, I am kind of short and extra, all right? And I'm just going to place it where it belongs. No big deal. It happens to me most of the time, all right? Not a big deal at all. And there is a top crust, so it's going to work out well. All right, you see what I'm doing? I am forming everything perfect, well, not perfectly, but I'm forming everything to cover the missing pieces. And again, because I have a top crust and I'm going to do a lattice crust, I like a lattice crust. The apples peek through and I'm able to see what's going on with my crust. I like it like that. And I'm just going to form everything. All right. So again, if you find that you're short in some areas, this is a big pie pan too. This is a 10-inch, not a 9-inch. If I had a 9-inch, it would have completely covered everything. So this is a little bit larger, and that's okay too. I have a lot of apples. So there we go. Here's my pie, first pie crust. I'm going to put my apples. I think most of them will fit. Let's see. I think most of them will fit. I have some juices already from the lemon juice, and I'm going to try to get them all in. Try to get all of my apples in the pie pan. All right. This is about 6 pounds, 6.5 pounds of apples. And what kind of apples did I use? I had a combination of Gala, Granny Smith, and a couple Pink Lady. I love Pink Lady apples. They're tart, they're sweet. They're just so good any time of the year. I have never been disappointed with a Pink Lady apple. At one time I only used Granny Smith apples for my pies. Then I just found that, you know, sometimes the Granny Smith apples were not always consistent. Meaning sometimes they're sweet enough and sour enough, and sometimes they were very sour and not sweet enough. So I found it was best to mix, you know, the apple to assortment. That's fine. Works just fine. So here I go. It's my apples here are in the pie pan with my first crust. Now what I'm going to do, let's just move some things around a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is, move that here. I'm going to start with my second layer pie crust, right? So here's my disc, and we're not concerned about it being absolutely perfect. Again, the proof is in the final result. So I'm going to take that plastic again that I used for the first layer because, like I said, I don't want to add too much flour. Sometimes people, they douse their, and with biscuits it's different, but with my pie crust, I find if I use too much flour in doing that, and with the pie crust, what happens is pie crust gets a little tough. So I like to roll my pie crust out on a board covered with plastic on top. Or you could use parchment paper on the bottom and plastic on top. But to me, the plastic on the bottom stays put, doesn't roll around as much. All right, so, all right, I'm rolling it out again to about, again, 1/8 of an inch or so. Not paper thin, but you know, just enough, about the same as the first layer. It was about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and I'm still rolling. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to do my lattice, right? That's my plant butter. Now, in my pie crust, I use the organic shortening and butter, a mixture of the two. All right, but for the filling, I just want a little flavor of butter, but I'm going to save on some of my, trans fats, saturated fats, and I'm going to use plant butter to season my apples, and I'll show you how that's done with my filling in just a minute. All right, almost there. Okay. Again, it's not quite a round circle, and that's fine. It's fine. It really is. It's fine. Almost done. I've got some chicken in the oven for dinner. I'm gonna run and just pull that out. Be back in 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to begin cutting my lattice strips for my pie. And I'll say they're about a 1/2 inch wide, not too wide, just enough. About a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 of an inch. About a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. A half inch is fine. So I'm going to take my first layer, laying it there. See? All right. Next one. And usually you say the longer strips go for the highest part of the pie. All right? The highest part of the pie, which is like between here and here, from here over to here. And the shorter strips are for the sides. All right. All right, see where I am? It's easy peasy. You can do it too. You can do it. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back to my shorter side, my shorter end here, all right, and I'm going to cut some shorter sides because I need to cover these sides where it's not as high to make sure I have coverage. So here we go. Again, see? Cut my strips. Now I can go in and I can start weaving my lattice. All right, so I'm going to go with one of the sides. All right, just follow, placing it there. All right, and what you do is you lift. All right, you want to do a weaving pattern. So you lift one area and then you lift every other layer, right? Every other one. You lift every other one. Again, saving the longest pieces for the middle. All right? So here I went under, over, under, over, under, under. Okay, over, under. So now I'm going to go under. So I take this part right here, lift that up, and I'm going under. This is a very impressive pie. All right? People will think you purchased it from the bakery. Try it with your family, try it for holidays, all right? So under, over, pick up this one, under, put that down, and then we're gonna go over and under. See where we are? See? All right, again. So I'm gonna need one of the longer pieces. I'm going that down here. Just keep, keep your eye on where you are, highest, lowest. I have a lot of apples in this pie. So now I'm going over, under that back. All right. I'm going to every other one. You go under and then over. Okay. All right. We're coming along pretty good. Almost done. Almost done. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. All right. Taking a longer piece. Now I'm going under and over. And if you have to just rewind the video and keep watching it. It's not a big deal. Now I'm over. I went under, over. Now under. And then over here. All right? So then it's like almost my last piece now. All right? So now I am going to go over, under, over, under, over, under. And there we go. See? Right. Okay. You can do it. And sometimes if you see some of the crust underneath where it's a little thin, just take some of your scrap strips and just put it in areas where it's a little thinner. Who's going to know the difference? Like I said, there's nobody in the kitchen but you. All right? And Jesus. All right? And so I have a few sparse scraps over in this area here. I'm just going to cut that in half and see if I need it anywhere else. All right? And I like this. The fun part is fluting it. Fluting the edges. I like that. Okay, we are almost done. Now, before I flute my edges, what I'm going to do, I have a little milk. Now, if you have a pastry brush, use a pastry brush. I don't have a pastry brush. I had one, but I don't have it anymore. No big deal. You don't have to go out and buy one. If you're going to make a pie, can't make a pie if I don't have a pastry brush. Yes, you can make a pie without a pastry brush. Here's what you do. Take your fingers, dip it in milk. I have some 2% milk, not heavy cream, just 2% milk. Some people use egg wash. That's fine. But I like to use milk too. So I'm going around my edges first. All right, going around my edges. And lightly, going around them, right? Lightly going around my edges so that my pie has a beautiful color and sheen. There we go. So now I'm going to go lightly over my strips. Okay, just lightly, not roughly, because you don't want to disturb all that work you did, right? All the work you put into making this lattice pie. Hey, ladies, if you're on a date, you got a date, or you have got well, we've just come to the holidays. Let's save this for the holidays, but also use it for Resurrection Sunday, or if you're dating and you're making dinner for your guy, or guys, if you're making dinner for your girl, impress her. Do a lattice pie, lattice top pie. You can always do a second crust, just put it on top. There's nothing wrong with it. But why not take it a step further and do a lettuce top pie for your fruit pies? Not sweet potato pie, but maybe your fruit pies, okay? And that way I like to do the lattice because I can see when the fruit is bubbly and brown and the juices just come out and you can see everything, you can see what's happening, and you get a better picture of what's going on with your pie, with your fruit pie. It's going to release a lot of juice, I'm sure, as it normally does. So now what I do, oh, you know what? I almost forgot to do this, and that's okay, because it could happen to you too. I was so into the lattice going on, but it's not too late. I'm going to put a few tablespoons of my plant butter through the lattice, all right? If I had a top crust, that would be a lot of work that I have to redo. Just going to stick it in here and there. A couple of, just going to have it and stick it through some of the holes. All right, stick it through there, here and there. Not every one, unless you want to, but it's not necessary because somehow, some way, the butter gets incorporated, or whatever you're using, whatever fat you're using, butter, margarine, plant butter, it gets incorporated in all the juices, so you don't have to feel like you've got to stick it in every hole. You don't have to do that. It's not necessary. All right, but it will get there, and then some of that butter from the crust also gets in that pie. All right, so it's a good thing. This is one of those faux pies. It could happen to you, but I love doing lattice pies because I think it's fun, a lot of fun. All right, and I think maybe, let's see, stick that down like that. Maybe a couple over here because it looks a little naked in there. And maybe, let's see, maybe there, right there. All right. All right, so there we go. So here we go. This is what we did. We're going to take, because we pretty much did all of the covering of the lattice. Okay, make sure you get all the lattice strips covered with a little bit of butter. Not a lot, just wet it a little bit. So here we go. I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to pinch it. Watch me. I'm pinching the dough. I don't want to lift it too much from the rim because that's going to secure the pie in place. All right, so I'm pinching it all the way around. See, pinching the pie. See, just pinching it, pressing down and pinching the pie, just so. Can you see? Just pinching with my fingers, fluting it. We're fluting the rim of the pie. That's how you get those nice, pretty fluting edges when you're doing the pie. This is also a nice thing to do, to say thank you to someone's teacher. Well, when we were back in school, I remember one day, Evan at his school, they had a bake sale, and I had made pies and something else for the bake sale. And Evans, I think his teacher at the time thought that I made the pie for her, and she took it home and she said it was so delicious. Well, I'm sure it was, but not because I made it, but it was very pretty, and I made it for the bake sale, but she claimed it, and that was all good. It made her happy, and she was an excellent teacher to my son, and I thank God for Mrs. Hicks. Put the word out there. Okay, so there it is. See? There we go. All right, it's ready for the oven now. I'm going to bake this at 375 for about 35-40 minutes. All right, and then I'm going to put it, turn it down to 350. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to put it on the top layer first. Normally I'll put it on the bottom. I'm going to do the bottom last. And I'm putting it on the top first because I don't want, if I was making a sweet potato pie, I'd put it on the bottom first. But I'm going to make sure this kind of crisps up. So I'll put it at the top about 370 for about 40 minutes. And then I'm going to put it on the bottom for about another 45 minutes. 40 minutes maybe, 45 minutes. What you're looking for is the juices to run out, golden brown crust, bottom crusty brown. Make sure you can use if you're brave enough to look underneath, after holding on to your, with your pot holders. But I want to make sure that the bottom crust is cooked and golden brown. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to let the top cook first, and then I'm going to put it on the lower level of the oven at about 370. I'm probably not going to reduce it. If your oven cooks fast like an electric stove, it may cook too fast. You may need to turn it down to 360 or 365. But I'm not going to, I don't want it to cook too fast, but I do want that bottom crust to brown. So I'm going to put it at the top layer first for about 40 minutes at 370. I said 375, but 370. Then I'm going to move it to the bottom layer and let it cook the rest of the way for about another 40 minutes. Depending on your oven, it could be 45 minutes. All right, and we'll bring it back and we'll let it cool off and we'll eat some. All right, we'll see you move it. Hi, okay, so the pie is ready. It's been cooking for about an hour and a half. Again, about 40 minutes on the top at 370 for about 40 minutes. And then I turned it up to 375 and cooked it for the rest of the way, another 40-45 minutes on the lowest level of the oven. And I have a gas oven. So your electric oven may be a little different. Sometimes they cook a lot faster. If you have an electric oven and your oven cooks a little faster, you may want to take a strip of aluminum foil. I'm saying aluminum foil now because it's the only thing that will work. And put it a long strip around the rim of the crust. All right, before you put it on the bottom so the crust on the edges don't burn. But you can see my Lattice apple pie. It is done. It's bubbly and it is so beautiful, and we can't wait to dig into it, but not right now. It's too warm to cut into right now because it'll just release the juice everywhere. We don't want that. We want it to cool completely for about an hour, hour and a half. So this is certainly a process you'll want to either start the day before or in the morning and serve it later in the afternoon, but it's worth it. It really, really is. It's so beautiful. Look at that. And hey, listen, if you follow the directions and the instructions that I gave you, yours will look even better than mine, right? So I'm gonna let this cool completely. Then I'll come back a little later, cut a slice that you see what it looks like so you can see there are real apples in here and not mock apple pie. That's just a joke. But listen, just, hey, let it cool for about an hour and a half. I'm gonna let it cool, come back, slice a piece and let you see it, and we're going to enjoy it. All right, See you in a little bit. Okay, so pie is cool. It's been cooling for about an hour and a half, an hour and a half, and it is totally cool. It's been cool. So what I did also, I forgot to mention to you, I did layer my pan with a layer of parchment paper so that it sometimes the juices will stick to the pan and you won't be able to get the pie out the pan. So now, and I also sprayed my parchment paper with a little bit of cooking spray so that it wouldn't stick to the pan as well. All right. So I'm going to cut a piece and I am going to sample it so that you can see it. So again, it's the lattice pie. See? It's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to cut into it a little piece, just a little bit. Still kind of juicy, and that's fine too. It's a little juicy. And I don't want that much, just a little taste, a little piece. So the first piece is always, you know, the most difficult to get out. So I'm just taking a little small slither. All right. You could also top this with caramel sauce if you wanted to. It's not necessary, doesn't need it, but if you want another extra added flavor, it's a really big hit. You could certainly do that if you wanted to. You could add caramel to it. But I'm just going to take it as it is. And it really looks good. Look at that. Look at that. It looks so good. So good. I'm going to get a fork. And you could buy this pie, but it's not your own, right? You could go to a bakery and buy it and probably spend about $20 for a pie. Sure, you can go to one of those warehouse stores and you can get one, but making it yourself is just kind of special. So, and I already have the ingredients on hand, so I don't have to go out and get anything, right? So let's taste it. Let's taste it. That's good. I taste the cinnamon. I can even taste the plant butter a little bit, you know? It's really, really good. This is good. You can serve it with ice cream if you want to. Cup of tea, cup of coffee. And this is really, really good. It's really good. It's so good. Actually, the sweeteners, the sugar, the stevia, the plant butter, almost has like a, it's made like a flavor like a caramel sauce, almost. But it's so good, and it's so delicious, and I'm hoping that you'll try it. I'm hoping that you will make it. Hope you'll make it really, really soon. All right. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. Try it. It is delicious. And it tastes just as delicious as it looks. So try my lattice apple pie. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. From my kitchen to yours, grace and peace be unto you, and peace be multiplied. God bless.